get my questions back out. So no gambling for you. Do you have a favorite game?
My favorite game is straight pool.
Straight pool?
Yeah, commonly known.
Yes. And that's kind of what you started playing also, wasn't it?
No, it's like everywhere. Usually 8-ball, 8-ball, 9-ball. But my coach made me focus on straight pool in the beginning.
Do you have a favorite competitor that you enjoy playing? You feel like pushes you, or?
The question is, do you have a player you don't like to play against? That's a more interesting question. But in general, I like to be challenged. I mean, if you go to a tournament and you see the draw and you have a tough match, you hope to have somebody that you don't even know to be an easy match, right? Especially the beginning of a tournament. But I noticed that a lot of the tournaments that I've won, I had to play like top names, and kind of, I guess, brings the best out of me. I tend to lose against the ones I'm a favorite, like here in this tournament.
Sure.
So I kind of accept that. I couldn't single out a player, but
now, would you say that that is something that would be a goal of yours to work on, or you don't seem to? I mean, do you compete in many tournaments where there's, not?
Yeah, every tournament you go, you're kind of the favorite or the underdog. Doesn't matter which tournament it is. And if you go to international events, they're all great players. You still might be the favorite. But yeah, that's it. I don't know, it's just normal, I guess, if you have somebody that is currently maybe on a hot streak and he's dangerous, that you focus a little harder. It's just human nature.
Yeah.
But it can work for you too, and it brings the best out of you.
Yes.
Best in you.
So you said the other question would be better. Do you have a player that you don't like playing?
I also don't want to name anybody, but
sure.
Just don't like. I like to just play the game and not be involved in mind games. And some players, they just use everything to gain an advantage. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a big fan. I'm big on sportsmanship and fair play. Mm-hmm. And some of these guys, they just can't win without trying to get into your head, and that's kind of annoying. You learn how to deal with it, and again, it kind of makes you focus harder, but it's not fun to play against those guys. So.
Do you think any parts of the world are ultimately doing pool right at the moment? Like, could America learn something from the way Europe is promoting pool right now, or who do you think's doing what right or wrong?
Well, I don't think there's everything's connected, and I've seen many different working communities. Like how pool is organized in the States versus Europe versus China and Philippines, and I've seen many countries basically had their moments. We used to have many tournaments in Europe back when Bustamante in later 90s, and he used to live in Germany, and we had lots of events there. Then in 2000 we had many events in Taiwan and the Philippines, and now it seems like China has a lot of events, and then it died down, all for different reasons, usually political reasons. I wish to see a more sustained way of how pool works in big tournaments and how it's shown on the media and television. I always say it's great to learn the game in Europe because we have that club system, and you just don't have to go. I don't know if you can even go to a pool room without your parent if you're 12 years old. We have those clubs, and they take care of you, and they train you. and there are lots of leagues, and everybody plays for trophies and no money. Even in the States, APA, BCA it's a money machine.
Yeah.
And you have to spend a lot of money to play. So in Germany in particular, it's a little bit different. So it's a good part of the world to learn the game. But then, once you want to make money, then it's no good. That's the reason why I moved out. There are hardly any tournaments, except the Euro Tour, and even that is not really lucrative. But maybe a combination of that, that's what's lacking in the States, to do more, like Wheelhead Education Foundation, do more for the kids. So in 10, 15, 20 years, you have new players that are ready. And in Europe, it'd be nice to have more professional events. So I would like to see a mix of that.
Yeah. Do you have an opinion about what would make professional events more successful, or some components that need to happen in order to support the pros?
Well, we need more higher class production, I think. Matchroom is doing a good job with their events. Everybody has to work on it. The players, the way they present themselves, the way, we should be more united. It's really tricky because everybody has a different agenda and the pie is so small and everybody wants a piece. It's hard to make sacrifices for the greater good of developing the sport. And the same goes for the promoters. Instead of promoting better events, making them grow. Maybe they want to keep it small, so it's always theirs, and if they make enough money for themselves, then they're happy. It's tough. You need a good tour. You should start from the World Federation. They should do a better job. Right now, it's kind of a mess. The calendar, we have tournaments that pop up out of nowhere, and then they get cancelled again. It's just tough to make plans. There's just a few events that happen every year. But I'm just a player. I never organized an event or never been part of a federation, so it's who am I to judge them? I just see things that are wrong.
Right.
It's really tricky to plan as a professional player.
Sure. Do you know how many countries you've been to?
Must be in the 50s or so.
Do you have?
You get around a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Being a professional player, I get to see different cultures and have friends all over the world. And it's also the problem that I don't get to see them as often. Even my family, I haven't been back in Germany in over a year, so I miss my friends and my family. But at the same time, I'm in California now. I'll be in New York tomorrow, and then I'll be in Vegas with my friends, and then I go back to the Philippines. And so definitely opens your mind. It's nice to see. At the end, we all speak the same language, which is cool. Everybody shares the same passion, and it's a communication tool.
Do you have some of the places that stick out for you as favorites?
In terms of what?
In terms of the way events were ran, or in terms of things that you've been able to see and sightseeing, or any way you want to take it?
If we're sticking to pool, in general, I like the Matchroom events. Doesn't matter where they do it. It's just high profile, good audience, good production. I like the amount of spectators Asian tournaments bring out. Sometimes they have thousands of fans in the Philippines. They're very emotional. So I think it was one of my most memorable tournaments when we played World Cup of Pool, Ralph K and I, for Germany against Team Philippines at home in front of thousands of fans. And they're just all crazy.
No, 5-1.
I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it.
And but even in the States, I always felt it's very glamorous. Before we had events in hotels in the States. I missed the tournaments in Europe. Haven't played in too many in the last decade or so. Tough, everything is different. It's unique.
Yeah.
It's nice to get around. And, you know, all pool tables and balls, but the scenery and the people, they change, which is nice.
Do you have still more things? Obviously, if you're still playing, you have more things that you want to accomplish. You have goals and things that you're striving for.
There are certainly certain events that I haven't won that are on my list, like the US Open. And you're always as good as your last tournament performance. You know, you can win the World Championship, and then you go to the next event, you don't do well, you don't feel good. So I hope I have another 10 years or so in me to be successful. And it's tough to motivate yourself when you've won already everything, and you look at the tournaments. You know, prize money has gone down, and prestigious events are rare. And but that's a challenge. You know? And it's still my job. I still need to make a living. So that alone is a big motivation to go and do well. But I still like to work on my legacy and win more events and collect more titles around the world.
Do you find ways to continue improving your game, even as good as you are?
Oh, definitely. It starts from the mechanics. I still find lots of flaws, and as you go older, your body changes, and you always have to adjust and find your stroke. That alone, and then the game changes too. You know, the break changes, the equipment changes, the rules change, and you always have to adapt and then mentally, I think we're still very young as a sport. If we were playing for millions of dollars, we'd all have people supporting us with mental coaching and all that stuff. So I think there's still a lot to come, and maybe hopefully one day we'll get there.
Yeah.
To bring your peak performance every tournament, every match, every shot. That should be the ultimate goal.
Were there any things along the way that titles or victories that meant something special to you?
I'm sure I've had milestones. One of them definitely when I won the World Championship in Cardiff 2003, World 9 ball that put me on the international scene, even though I was, I think, known in Europe already. Winning the IPT, the big $350,000, not only the money but the whole ambience of the tournament. Red carpet, so many players, and it was phenomenal. Winning in Asia, winning the China Open, the Philippines and Japan, winning the World Championship again in 2013 after 10 years, and all the straight pool titles, because the game means a lot to me. So there are lots of milestones, lots of small events, even maybe regional tournaments that mean a lot to me at that moment.
Yeah. With the Moscone Cup, I know that ultimately there's Team Europe and Team USA. If you were creating your own team out of everyone, who would be on your team of 5 people?
Oh, it's so tricky. I don't even live in Europe, and when I watch some streams of the Euro Tour, there's some players I never heard of, and they play fantastic.
Yeah.
As of now, it's tough. I guess that's the luxury we have in Europe, that we can take 10 players, 15, 20 players and make a team, and that would be solid. From the veterans like Ralph, Mika, Niels, Darren, to the new guys, Eko Monopoulos. There would be 3 or 4 Polish players that could be on the team that haven't played on it yet, and all the British players anyway. So it's tough to say.
Is pool now not a very big thing in the Russian countries or former Russian countries, or do you know anything about it?
Well, the Kremlin Cup in Moscow, the biggest tournament in Russia they have. It keeps growing. I've played twice. I've won the first one, and it's actually a really nice event. Side by side with the Russian pyramid game. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I guess that's the number one cue sport in Russia. But they have the pool event, and this year I guess will be the biggest and best they've ever produced in November. I hope I'll be able to go again. I'm not really familiar with pool in the Ukraine or White Russia. I know they are organized and they have players.
Yeah.
But I never competed there.
I was going to ask, I know one of the people from my area wanted to ask if you would have open on your calendar to come to the Chinook Winds event where they do the Chinook Winds Open. Do you know about that event? Has it been on your radar, or are you busy doing other things? Or
that's in Portland.
It's in Lincoln City, a couple hours outside of Portland.
Was it last year, the year before? I had it on my calendar, and I didn't go. I don't know what reason, but yeah, I know, I'm aware of it. And I remember one year I wanted to play, and it didn't work out for whatever reason. I have good friends in Seattle, very, very good friends from New York. They just moved there about 2 years ago that I have to visit. So, enough reasons. When is that event?
The event, I believe, is the beginning of October, 7th and 8th, 9th, 10th, right around there. I can look on the calendar when we close down the interview so you know exactly.
Okay, well,
the fans would love to see you. Do you have an opinion about playing on bar tables?
It's fun to do it once in a while. I wouldn't want to play on bar tables full time as a professional. It has its challenges, the limited space, but at the same time, I think, it's just too boring. It's just so many shots that don't come up that you have on a big table.
Yeah.
So it's a fun game, and I'm happy to play a few tournaments a year, but I wouldn't want to play bar table full time.
Yeah. Let me look over my other questions here and make sure I didn't miss anything. One of the my friends asked if you have an opinion about jump cues.
What's the question?
Do you like?
If it should be allowed or
allowed?
Definitely.
Not allowed? Or
yeah, it should be. I think it's a very spectacular shot.
Yeah.
And we have, it's one of the things that are exciting in pool. And people say, they don't know how to kick, and well, you just have to play a better safety, lock the ball up so the guy can't jump, and at the same time it's good for TV, and I've seen some great photos when the cue ball is in the air, and why take that away? And the whole industry makes jump cues that makes money, and they could put money back into the sport. Well, why take that away?
Right. Do you think it's ultimately a shame, kind of not the sport, really putting a lot back in to support the sport?
Well, if that was my expertise, then I don't have the answers for what's the right way. They all have their reasons, I guess.
Is it difficult for you sometimes to make it as a professional pool player that doesn't gamble?
Well, I'm very fortunate that I'm sponsored. I have a long time, years of sponsors that I've been working with, which at this point I want to mention Lucasi cues for over a decade, Kamui tips, chalk, Simonis cloth, and then cycloballs. And so I'm fortunate, I'm blessed with them. I try to focus more on the high caliber big events throughout the year, and this year has been tough because some have been cancelled, some have been pushed back into the second part of the year, so I still have a lot coming up now. which I'm actually very motivated and looking forward. I had 6 months of maybe only 4 or 5 tournaments, and now I'll have maybe 20 coming up
That's
at the end of the
exciting.
year. Yes, yeah.
That's really, so it sounds like the sponsors like Lucasi and Kamui and Simonis and Cyclops really make it possible for you to continue being a professional player. So that's pretty good. So appreciate to them, definitely. Anything that you would say to people that are out there enjoying the game and wanting to get better? Any advice?
Well, at first you have to become your local hero, I guess, and just in the beginning you got to put in the time.
Yeah.
That's one thing we all have in common, is the insane amount of hours. If you, of course, if you just want to have fun, play with friends is one thing. But if you want to be a champion, you have to put in the time.
Yeah.
And the second thing is to put in the quality time. And playing is one thing, but if you can work on your game, if you can work with the coach, watch videos, buy DVDs, study everything you can, and then try it yourself. Helps compete. Play in leagues, play in local tournaments. Keep growing. Play better players, play weaker players. Never give up. And just keep having fun.
It's supposed to be fun, right?
It's supposed to be fun. Yeah. Sometimes we forget. Most people make a mistake that when they practice, for them it's all fun, and when they compete, all of a sudden it becomes serious. Where maybe it should be the other way around, where they should put in more seriousness. Can I say that? Or they should put in more effort, and when they practice, when they have a competitive play, they should enjoy and have fun.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I even remind myself sometimes during a match when because I'm very sensitive when it comes to the equipment. If I play on a table that's not consistent or rolls off or the rail's kind of slow, and it gets to me because I can't control it. And then sometimes I'm like, hey, come on, it's just part of the game, and try to have fun. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, I sure appreciate you sitting down with me and talking to us and that sort of thing. And it's quite a pleasure because we don't get to see you in the Pacific Northwest. So hopefully we will in one of the upcoming Chinook Winds tournaments.
Just keep me informed on Facebook. What's there if my calendar allows it. I'm used to traveling. I'd like to see that part of the United States.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.